We're going to talk about this during the meeting about how to change the city charter.
It's going to be on my site.
People can find a seat. We'll be starting in a few minutes. So please wait for your seat. That's over here. You can't see the front of the side. Thank you. Okay, welcome everybody. Great turnout. We really appreciate you coming out. We hope to inform you. It's up all the way. I'm sorry. The volume's up all the way. If you can't hear me, I'm sorry. I am Regis Klingler. I'm with the Committee for Marshall Nut Mega Site. Today we're going to try to focus on the legal process where we're at and why we're doing it.
Can you hear him okay?
Right here? Okay. Also, we're going to try to outline what it will take to amend the city charter. We think there's some problem areas that don't only affect this mega site, but also any future referendum for Marshall. I'm going to introduce the members of the committee, and if they could just stand and wave a hand or whatever. Lynn Slight is our secretary. Jim Slight is on the committee also, he's at the door. Diane Kowalski at the table. And Glenn Kowalski, he's infamous, I'm sure everybody knows him. Let's see, who am I missing? Oh, Stephanie. And Gretchen, that's hers right there. Holly Heinlein, the holiday house lady is there. So, we're going to start with a little video from our attorney, Robbie Doobie. He's going to kind of outline where we are in our appeal and why we are pursuing an appeal to the appeals court in Michigan. We think it's important. We think it has repercussions, like I say, for all future referendums and any people trying to circulate petitions in Marshall. We're gonna kind of concentrate on that. We're not gonna cover the Ford plant or the mega site issues. I know there's a lot of issues and people are opposed to it for a lot of reasons, but we're gonna try to focus on the legal and the political process here today. If you have questions, we're gonna take maybe 5-10 minutes in between each thing. If we don't have time for all of them, we have a pad over here, you can write down the questions and we'll get back to you by email, if you put your email down. Also, our Sergeant at Arms is
Me?
It's Lynn.
Okay, this is my job, okay. Because we don't want to be here for 5 or 6 hours, if we start getting off task, I'm just gonna go like this. Okay, and that means, hey guys, let's stay on task.
Okay. So the first thing I'd say is gonna be a video by our attorney. Then we're gonna cover what it takes to get a amendment to our city charter, primarily to eliminate any appropriations in a zoning ordinance, and the limitation on who can circulate petitions. So with that, I'm gonna have Jason start on the video. This is Robbie Doobie, our attorney. He's representing us and several other groups, the Goshen Group, both Illinois and Michigan, and I think the Georgia Group on their plant down there. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Robbie Doobie, and I'm the attorney who has had the honor of representing the Committee for Marshall, not the Mega Site, and many of your fellow citizens in the city of Marshall
Everybody
fighting for their
Can you hear that?
constitutional rights
Okay.
and to fight against the Mega Site. I'm here to talk to you today about the appeal, why it matters. This fight began with the referendum to overturn the rezoning that is necessary for the mega site. And that brought together a large coalition of people who have environmental concerns, people who have good governance concerns, and everything in between. But this fight is expanded to be so much more than that. And I want to explain why this appeal matters and why we're doing this. And the biggest reason is because this appeal fundamentally will determine whether you have constitutional rights at all. That might sound dramatic, but that's what's at stake here. And let me explain why. You have a right to a referendum as City of Marshall residents, as Michigan residents. But what has happened is that right has been completely stripped away from you. And that's been done in several ways. One, the city clerk decided, and the circuit court upheld, that she just has the authority to deny a referendum whenever she feels like it. So long as she thinks it's illegal, she can just say no. And even though there are centuries of case law that says that is not the case, the circuit court said that's totally fine. Right? So the question is, who should determine your constitutional rights? Should it be an unelected city clerk? We say no, and here's why. Because under Michigan law, the city clerk only has power to weigh on what's called the sufficiency of the referendum. That is limited to the actual physical paperwork of the referendum. Did you put the words in the right place? Did you have all the words that you need to have? Do you have the signatures in the right place? And do you have enough signatures? That's it. That's the only thing she's allowed to say. If you met all the physical stuff, you're good to go. If you didn't, you're not. The clerk is not the court. The city clerk doesn't have legal training. She doesn't have the power of the judiciary. She's just a civil servant. And your clerk may be great. Your clerk may be incompetent. But is that who you want determining whether your constitutional rights exist or not? No. And thankfully, the courts for over a century have said, clerks, you can't do that. You don't get to weigh on whether a referendum is legal or not. You just need to check the boxes if they comply with the forms. The circuit court here ignored 100 years of precedent to let the city clerk get away with denying you your referendum rights. And if that decision is allowed to stand, there is no reason the city clerk would ever approve a referendum that the city management doesn't want again. Your referendum right just won't exist. That's what's at stake here. And more than that, the city clerk also rewrote your charter. If you're a city of Marshall resident, you may not realize this. The city clerk just took it upon herself to say, I'm going to add words to the charter. Your charter says ballot committees are responsible for circulating petitions. What does that mean? Well, under Michigan law and centuries of case law, that means that whoever forms a ballot committee is ultimately responsible for submitting the signatures and make sure they're done right. But the United States Supreme Court has been clear, and your courts here in Michigan have been clear. It is unconstitutional to limit who can collect signatures for a ballot referendum. Full stop. It's clear law. You can't limit it. And that makes sense. Under the clerk's reading, whoever the 5 people are who make a ballot committee are the only ones who get to collect signatures. So if you discover a cause you care about later, too bad. You should have been part of the original 5. If you live just outside the city of Marshall, but it matters to you, if you're a Marshall Township resident, too bad. You should live in Marshall. Where's the support for that? Not in the Constitution. It's actually not even in your charter. The city clerk just took it upon herself to do that. And the crazy thing is, the first time ever, just for this referendum, they decided that only the ballot committee gets to circulate. In 2013, when there was a referendum, they didn't have that rule. The charter hasn't changed. But for some reason, this referendum is so special that they're going to take away your constitutional right to collect signatures. And we raised that issue to the circuit court 4 times. And 4 times, the circuit court refused to ever address it. Clear constitutional violation, the circuit court didn't even acknowledge it existed. And what's crazy is the city and MEDA never argued it was constitutional. Not once. They never even tried to defend it. And yet, they're getting away with it. There is an ongoing violation of your constitutional rights, and the circuit court and the city are rubber stamping. If we don't appeal, that would be the rule going forward. That's why we're doing it. And I want to talk very carefully about what the city actually did here. The city put in these Act 425 agreements to transfer land from Marshall Township to the city of Marshall. That's only supposed to be for water and sewage. But we all know that's not what they're doing it for. They're doing it to build a mega site. Then, even though those agreements say the Joint Planning Commission has to control land use, control zoning, when the Joint Planning Commission said, no, we're not approving this, the city just ignored them and said, I don't care. We're just going to rezone it ourselves. We don't care what our contracts say. We don't care what your rights are. We're just going to override you. And once again, the circuit court said, that's fine. It doesn't matter that you're breaching the contract. You can actually do whatever you want, city. That should alarm you. That should worry you that the government can enter into a contract and then just ignore it whenever it feels like it. You couldn't do that as a private citizen. The government can't either, and we're going to the appeals court to make that clear. Now, then, what's crazy here is in all this referendum stuff, the circuit court has said, citizens, you have to strictly follow the law, and then accepted the law that isn't even actually the law, and said you didn't do it. And then, when the city violated its own law, when it didn't follow its own rules, the court said, that's fine. The city actually doesn't have to follow the rules. So you, citizen, you have to follow the rules. But if you're the city, you can do whatever you want. What am I talking about? Well, the city charter is clear. You have to introduce an ordinance, and then you notice it. And we do this to make sure that people know the actual ordinance that's being noticed. They know what they're supposed to be voting on. The city didn't do that here. They noticed an ordinance that didn't exist into the newspaper. It had never been introduced, it just didn't exist. Then they introduced it. And the notice never once told you that those appropriations, that they had slipped appropriations into it. So the notice was deficient, and they didn't even follow their own rules. And what did the circuit court say? That's fine. They actually don't have to. In fact, he said they substantially complied with the charter. So by doing the exact opposite of the charter, apparently that's substantial compliance. As a private citizen, you'd never be allowed to do that, but the circuit court said the government can. That should alarm you. And what did they actually do here? They put appropriations into an ordinance specifically to strip away your right to do a referendum. They knew that they could argue that as long as there's an appropriation in an ordinance, you can't refer it. And the circuit court said, that's fine. Think about that. All the city ever has to do is put a 1 cent ordinance appropriation into an ordinance, and you will never have a referendum right again. If you're a city, why would you ever not do that? If you ever thought anything was controversial, if you ever thought anything may not be supported, just put a 1 cent appropriation in there, and now it's non-referable forever. That's not the law. The law is clear that they can't appropriate via ordinance, and that you can't appropriate when you're rezoning. The circuit court ignored all that. And if you look at the title of the ordinance, it doesn't say anything about appropriations. The purpose doesn't say anything about the appropriation. And yet the circuit court said, well, the title told you they were appropriating. And it's clear from the purpose that they were going to appropriate. Over and over again, every time the city made an argument that took away your rights, that expanded their power, that said they can do what they want and you can't, the circuit court said, I agree. This appeal is about making sure your constitutional rights continue to exist, that the city does not become an unaccountable government that can do whatever it wants, but that it is answerable to the people. So I'm asking you today, I'm thanking you for your support. I'm asking you to continue supporting this committee however you can as we continue this fight for you. Thank you.
He's a pretty hard act to follow. He's really knows his stuff, and he earns every penny that we pay him. And they're giving us a good deal, but it's still expensive, especially when we're going to the appeals court. So if anybody would like to donate, help make a pitch right now, you can go to our website, our Facebook page, and there's a link to donor box there. So is it on? It's on the sheet over there, on our card over there too. So, yeah. So I'm going to try to answer a few questions. I might need a little help from some of the other committee members, but does anybody have a question related to what Robbie was talking about on our circuit court case? He explains it pretty well. He covers all the points that we think are important. And what's up, Mary?
If there is a couple minutes during this thing, I'd like to be able to speak about the things we've been doing.
Well, we're going to try to keep it to legal
I'll be
and
doing
political.
this, Barry.
I think people will want to know the particulars as to how they gaslighted the rezoning thing. And I've broken down the letters and all those other things.
Yeah.
I'll let you get, show you how
And that would be good, but there's a time and a place. Today, we're gonna really stay very focused so that we can really work on
Yeah.
these. I know.
There are other options available.
There are
I
other
know.
people fighting this on
many
multiple
are.
fronts, from a Chinese company being part of this, to the environmental, to the way it was enacted, pretty much in secret. But right now, we're just trying to concentrate on the legal case and what we can do on a political platform to try to change that, not only here, but for the future. If there's no other questions, oh, okay, go
Is
ahead.
there a date when the appeal is going to be made?
We don't know that yet. Normally, appeals court can take up to a year. We're gonna ask for an expedited hearing. That could still take months, but we haven't heard that yet. It has been filed, notice that we're,
Notice of appeal.
notice of appeal to the appeals court, but we haven't heard anything. Oh, okay.
I've actually been working with Robbie and the others,
Mhm.
and we're working on a motion to expedite to make sure that the court knows what it has to do to decide. Sorry, I have a little bit more voice than this. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, what do you want to say?
I said, Robbie and the others on the legal team are working on a motion to expedite the matter so that the court knows, the appeals court knows when it has to decide the matter in time for a referendum, if they rule for us, to be on the ballot in November.
That's our goal.
That's the goal. And now basically the court would probably have to decide by mid-June.
But even if it takes longer, it's still well worth doing.
Oh, yeah.
Because this is not just about the mega site. This is about our rights, our rights to the future.
That's one reason we're so urgent.
Did you introduce John?
No, John LaPeach, he's one of on our legal team.
You mean you can't all see this information here? Yeah, sorry.
So, like I say, even if we don't make it on November ballot, there's another election in February. You know, we're gonna take a long time in the long term, and, yeah, it's gonna take a while, but we're trying to do it as fast as we can. You have a question?
Briefly explain the difference between the circuit court and the appellate court, the fact that 3 different judges will be hearing the case and not just one.
Yeah, the circuit court is one judge. In this case, he was a retired judge from the Muskegon area, heard this case all the way through, all the hearings and motions. Appeals court, they picked 3 judges, I think from a panel of 21, I believe. So it's 3 separate judges. Robbie has stated they're a lot more in tune with constitutional rights. They don't have the local politics to deal with, and that kind of thing. They're supposed to be a lot more impartial. So we're hoping that will work in our favor there. Somebody else got a question? No? Okay, well, yes.
I just want to say there's a handout here that kind of summarizes what Robbie's video was. This is a lot to process.
Yeah, if you want to take
Find
some,
out what we are.
Pick one up.
take it home and it's a summary, kind of bullet points of what he talked about. So with that, I'm up next, so, second. You can show the first. So I'm gonna talk about how we change the city charter process. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. It's not easy. It takes a while, but we think it's really worth the time and effort to do. So I handed out some of these to some of you. If you can share with each other, that's fine. If anybody wants another one, go to our email, bakermarshall@gmail.com, and just ask for, a handout summary, and we can get that to you. So I don't know if everybody can see this, but hopefully with the handout, we'll go through these bullets. On the handout, and most of them I highlighted several, and those are kind of the more important points, but I'm gonna go through all of them, hope not put you to sleep. So, petition for the charter amendment is called, they call it initiatory petition. That's a fancy legal term, we'll just call it petition. It has to be in accordance with Public Act 279, which is the Home Rule Act, and that's Michigan Common Law 117, and that is the laws that are referred to in the city charter. So that's what we gotta follow, are those guidelines. The first part of the petition, you have to have a purpose statement. It has no more than 100 words. It has to be impartial and true. You can't just make up things, make wild accusations. You must have language. It can't have language which influences one way or the other on the petition. Purpose statement has to go to the state attorney general. Ensure that the language is impartial and true. Not the petition, but just the purpose statement has to go to them. The charter amendment has to be only one subject. And you have to include which part of the charter that you're changing or want to change. You have to that section of the charter. In our case, we have two specific sections that we want to add some language to. So we'll probably have to have two petitions. Is that right? Yeah. Okay, this is where it gets a little more involved, but charter amendment has to be presented to the governor for review and approval. It can be, amendment to a city charter can be by petition or can be by the city council themselves. If the city council does it, sends it to the governor, he has things he doesn't like, sends it back, they can overrule him, it has to be, I think, a 2/3 vote. That doesn't apply to us, unfortunately. Ours goes to the governor, if he doesn't like it or she doesn't like it, too bad, it still goes to the people for election. So, that shouldn't be a worry for us. However, city council can add an explanatory caption to the amendment. Not sure what that means, but they have the right to do that. I don't know exactly what it means. Explain your side. Yeah.
That's just basically a title for the 100 words or less.
Okay, put a title on it, okay. Well, that's not so bad then. Okay, we have to notice the charter amendment as the city council prescribes. They have to do that, what Robbie was talking about in the last petition, we had a notice. You always have to notice it. They usually put it in a local paper so many days before. Do they have a public hearing on this?
You probably would have to.
Okay, there probably would be a public hearing, they would have to notice the public hearing on that ahead of time. Okay, next slide. Okay, so this is circulating the petition and voting on the amendment. The amendment petitions need to have at least 5% of the registered voters who voted in the last election for governor to sign the petition. In Marshall, that's about 300 signatures. For the original zoning ordinance petition, we have to have 10%. That was about 580 some. Of course, we got 810, and it's always good to get more than what you need because they'll be looking for any little mistake on there, they'll throw it out. So we'd probably like to get like 450 if we can. And this is a good occasion where we could use volunteers to circulate petitions. The more we have, the better. There's no, well, there is a time limit. It's about like a year. If you have a signature more than a year old, we can disallow it. So we could take a year. We don't want to take a year. We're going to take 3 or 4 months to do this to get it on the, hopefully on the November ballot. The petition has to have the organization or individual responsible for initiating circulating petitions. So it has to be right on the petition form. Similar to what Robbie's talking about, you have to have all the form, you've got to have people sign it, date it, and then print their name. Okay, once we get enough signatures, we have to file it with the city clerk, just like we did with the zoning ordinance petition. The city clerk checks the petition for form, not for substance, and that the signatures are valid. The city clerk has 45 days, which is longer than what it was for the other zoning petition, or zoning ordinance petition. And then to determine if it's sufficient, and it has the minimum required valid signatures. If the petitions are sufficient, then the city clerk will submit the amendment to a vote in the next regular city or state election held in the city. It can't be any sooner than 90 days after filing the petition. So that's why by this summer we need to get enough signatures so that it can be on the November ballot, because I think that's like August 6th or something to get on for the November ballot. If we don't, we'll go for the next one, but it would be great to get this on the November ballot again. There's, I'm just trying to see where I'm at, sorry.
I can summarize it. Want me to
No,
summarize it?
no.
Okay.
I'm almost done.
Okay.
In the unlikely situation where we get 20% of the voters to sign, which is like 1,000 or so, 1,200, something like that, then you can call for a special election. But again, it has to be at least 120 days after filing an amendment petition, so you don't really gain a whole lot there. It actually gives longer to delay the election, or the amendment will pass with a simple majority. That's all it takes, there's no super majority or anything like that. If the amendment doesn't pass, you can't introduce it again or submit it for 2 years after that. So, it's, we don't want to have to happen. Next slide. So if the amendment passes, the city clerk must file 2 printed copies with the election results with the Secretary of State and the county clerk within 30 days. And at that time, the amendment becomes law. The other possibility is if you, in the amendment, put a certain date that says it goes in effect immediately, you have to put that in the petition right there. And so now it would become law sooner than later. Or you could say a year, but I don't think we're gonna say that. So that's what I had. Are there any questions?
Can I summarize it real quick?
Yeah.
Okay, quick summary. The Committee for Marshall, not the mega site, is a ballot committee. This stuff that we just was talking about really doesn't fall under our committee. And what we need is a subcommittee. And we
Yeah.
have a couple members at this point. So we just is a detail person. He knows all this stuff, he's been researching it, and he is on that subcommittee. But most of you, your job will be doing this, writing your little your little signature.
And getting
And
others.
there will, yes, and the other people, there'll be just a few people that'll really need to be on board on the subcommittee.
Yeah, we'll have to establish a separate
Right, 'cause-
petition committee.
Yeah, our committee is already
Yeah.
maxed out doing what we're
Well,
doing.
and it's also for that
Ballot.
proposal, you have to have a special ballot committee just on that.
Yeah,
And we'll have to,
when we get to our next topic, that is also a subcommittee topic.
yeah, so
Okay, thank
that
you.
entails you register with the county clerk. It's a statement of organization, which we have done. Oh, okay. Yeah, we have sign-up sheets. If people would like to circulate petitions or serve on that committee, if we can get a handful of people, that would be great. The more the better. We don't get too many.
You have to be a city resident to do this,
No. Well, that,
to sign it or to
the sign
pass
it,
it
yes.
around?
Yes, it's the city, you have to sign it. Now, I don't know about circulating, are they gonna hold us to that committee on this?
Well,
Why not?
It doesn't really say.
now, circulators, again, we know the right,
Yes.
the civil right is to circulate. On the other hand, the city will almost certainly claim that 5-person limit again.
Yeah.
So it'd be best if it were a city
But
person.
we'll clarify that
Yeah.
before we get in on the, yes, sir.
And that was my question, what's the committee going to do to preclude happening on this signature drive versus what the city clerk's already done? It's gonna happen again.
Well,
Because we
this,
don't- there's
this
been
doesn't, this doesn't include appropriations. This is strictly a city charter amendment, so they can't stick an appropriation.
Good question.
Now, if it's gonna hold to the 5 people, I don't know that. We're gonna have to codify the city clerk. But they can't stick an appropriation in this because it's not an ordinance, not a zoning ordinance. It's an amendment to the city charter. So that's a distinction. Yes.
But with regards to that gentleman's question, what's gonna circumvent the city clerk from adding words to the charter with regards to this particular petition, even though it's not appropriations?
It's a good question. Also, the city council can introduce their own amendments that are contrary to this one. So people have a choice of 3 or 4. They can confuse us that way.
We'll
I don't-
consult with the attorney.
Yeah,
and Try
well,
to get this.
I don't know, but they have that right to do that.
But just to clarify,
Okay.
if the initiative, the petition for the initiative does gain the signatures and is voted in, they can't do anything for 2 years as well. So it isn't like the council can just override.
That's on zoning ordinances, that's on changing to the city charter.
Some changes in the charter.
It's different, you're right, on zoning ordinance, that's true. If it, they lost on the zoning ordinance, they couldn't do anything for 2 years. I don't think that restrictions on the charter
John
amendments.
might know.
There's no 2-year restriction.
I'd have to look up the actual charter language and what it says.
Okay, I don't think so, but we'll research it. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it says here that besides getting the signatures, that society will also have had to have voted in the last election for governor, so we'll have to ask them that
No.
question.
Just ask them if they're a registered voter.
No.
It says
Yeah.
here, voters who voted in the last election for governor signed the petition.
That's just to get a count of how many we need. You don't have to have actually voted in that election to sign.
Oh, okay.
No, fair
Just
fair
have to be a
enough.
registered voter, decide.
That's how they determine the number of signatures required, is based on who's asked who to.
Right, yes, that's right, yeah. It's like, say how many we have to get. Now, we did that in the last petition too, the zoning ordinance. You had to be a registered voter, and they determined from the last governor election, you had to have 576 or something like that. That's what that's for. Yes.
Has anybody just suggested this to city council, that they make this amendment?
No, we haven't. They're probably where we're trying to do it by now, but, I don't think it would go very far.
Yeah, and I'm not sure it would either, but, you know, if we had quite a few people suggest this to them, it would be interesting to see their response, and it would also show something about them and their ear to the people if they have dozens of people asking for this and they ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing preventing us from doing that, sending letters or emails. Yes, ma'am?
Are the city council meetings televised like they are in other towns?
They're trying to get there. I don't think it always
There's a
works.
YouTube channel.
Yeah, they post it to a YouTube channel. Glenn, does it always get there? I don't know if it always gets
Yeah, the
there.
last
I think it's been reliable.
They've been getting better. They've got new audio-visual equipment that they post it to the YouTube channel. I think you can reference it through the city website.
Yeah, go to the city website.
Yeah,
They used to be on Impact, the cable access channel.
but I know they put it on YouTube also. Yes, Pam.
Is anyone in this room connected with the Stand Up Michigan Committee? Where we all volunteered to help overturn the old Dusty Rule law that Gretchen Whitmer used for closing down everything.
You're talking about the state taking over control of zoning ordinance
Yes,
for
yes.
solar
Is
farms and
anyone
wind
here
farms?
in that group? Because
We got a couple.
not anymore.
But we're having a petition that's being signed by people for that particular cause, so
Yeah,
we're
so
covered
I'm
there.
just saying, there's quite a few people in Michigan who are part of the Stand Up Michigan. Can we link arms?
Yeah, that's what I say, we've got the signatures there. If people wanna serve on that, maybe get with you afterwards, if you know who to
Because
contact.
they are so good at getting signatures. I mean, we were out in the blazing
It all
sun.
depends if the city, clerk says it only has to be the 5 committee members or not. I hope we don't have to. I just don't know that, it doesn't really say that in the city charter. They reference the Act 117, but I haven't seen it in there either, but we'll check on that. I hope it's not the case, but in the future, if it passes, they won't have a case to stand on. And really, anybody that's 18 or older and an American citizen can collect signatures.
Right.
That's what this court has said.
So,
Your question?
if we as a public went to our council and said, hey, we want you to change the city charter, we've signed, as citizens of this community, we've signed this paper and all sign our names. Wouldn't that behoove them, because if we get signatures and they have to have a special election, that costs them money. That's not cheap for them.
In the best case, if we got 1,000 people that sign the petition, yeah, it'd be great. We at least get 300, and so.
But even if we didn't do a formal
Well-
amendment and did it as citizens.
You could try, so
In a
far.
perfect world.
Yeah, perfect world,
perfect world.
if they listen
Well,
to the people.
They'd show their cards, they'd show how they wanna deal with us, cause they're not gonna go.
They've already shown their cards.
I mean, I don't think it'd be a bad idea to try that, to get a lot of people to write in and, sign up. sign a paper like that. Officially, we have to do this process. Right here. Go ahead.
So this, if the amendment is not passed in the election, it can't be submitted again for a period of 2 years. What if the city council then quickly tries to submit something so that this can't be submitted? Is that how?
They can submit their own amendments at the same election. You could have 3 of these questions on the same ballot, where they could try to confuse us with other language.
And if they submitted one, it wouldn't keep a committee here from submitting
No,
one within the
no.
next 2 years?
You can have more than one on the ballot.
Yes, and we would still get to vote on it, of course.
Yeah, they get what cities, marshal voters can vote on which one they want to have. Hopefully ours. Yes.
My question is, if this thing is being built in the township, outside of the city, why are the township people left out of being able to sign it?
Well, it's the 455 transfers, where the transfer, not the ownership, but the use of the land and jurisdiction of the land to the city. And the city is using the city charter to prevent petitions and that kind of thing, so. Well, yeah, you would think they would have had asked the citizens of the township first.
Petition if we're in the township. Can we vote though if it gets on the ballot?
Every city,
No, they can't.
now what she was talking about, if there's a list of just people putting names in, asking us to change, you could sign that, wouldn't be official. But we could put a list together of township, whatever people.
Wouldn't it be something for the township then to get together and put up their own, I mean, to go along with you saying, wait a minute, we're township and this involves us too, why are we
Well,
out
the
left out?
the township board approved the transfer in the first place.
So we can't go on with
So,
the
that's what we're getting into the next thing, and how to get candidates on the city commission. And Glenn will talk a little bit about the township board and how to get candidates on that
That's
board.
one of the.
Okay, so that's the next topic.
Just, in the charter, section 5.08 restrictions, the council shall have no authority to adopt an amendment or repeal an initiative ordinance that has been approved by a majority of the vote of the qualified electors until 24 months after it is approved. Seems pretty good.
Yeah, that does apply only to an ordinance though, not to a charter.
That's an
Well, it
ordinance.
says initiative.
Well, that's an initiative for a zoning ordinance, not an
Not
initiative
say
for.
any of it, but anyway, sorry.
It's a separate section of the city charter, section 12. I think it's section 12 that talks about how to amend the city charter. That initiative is covered in the state rule 117. That's why they call it initiatory petition. It's a little bit different. Initiatory petition, it's a little bit different. It's changing the charter, which is the law, versus an ordinance that the city council passed. So hopefully by doing this, they can't pass that kind of ordinance in the future, putting an appropriation in it, and hopefully limiting who can collect petition signatures.
Can these ladies introduce themselves real quick a second?
Yeah.
My name is Andrea Smith, this is my friend Carrie, and we're from Eaton County. We're your neighbors, and we have a similar situation happening in Eagle, where they're trying to build one of these plants under the disguise of board or something like that, I don't even know. But, we're all going through this together, and I've had family, in Marshall my whole entire life, so we're just coming out to show some support.
We've been with the Eagle people and the Green Township people and, others. We've been networking. They came down to protest at the mountain one Saturday last fall. So we are talking together, and like Robbie said, this isn't just here. It isn't just Michigan. It's happening all over the country. Same basic MO, and it's working for them. If we don't say anything, they'll just continue to do it. I think we're good. If you have any more questions, they can see there's a pad over here. You can write it down. We'll try to get back to you.
Barry has a question.
Barry? Sure.
Not a question, well, kind of a question. I'll be going to the city council meeting Monday night, and do you want me to inform them of what has gone on today?
No. We got it. I'm gonna write up something.
Okay. I guess we'll
I'm just
cover
secretary
it.
and I'll write something.
I mean-
you can if you wish, that's your right, but I'm gonna put something together.
If, we've got pictures, you can show how many people were here, might wanna put the pictures with it, and we've got recorded here too.
Yeah, being a
so-
live stream too.
So,
And I assume you'll put the Robbie's video probably.
yes, we'll put that on our Facebook page and others. Yep, okay, we're gonna get on to how to run for city council, what that entails and the details, and John LaPetra is gonna cover that for us. Thanks, John.
Did want to mention one thing first, that there's one thing that city and township people can both do here, and people from Eaton County put on another sheet. We do have the state level initiative petition to, for referendum to repeal the new state law about removing local choice on big energy projects. The Citizens for Local Choice is the name of the group?
Yeah.
It's on there, yeah. And so, those are collected by county, so city and township people can both sign the same sheets there. Or you can have them separate, either one, it's fine. And then for Eaton County, it would have to be a separate sheet from the Calhoun County ones. Yeah, well, I don't know how many you've got, go ahead and.
We got plenty.
Okay.
There you go.
All right, so there's that. Yeah. I have a handout here, and there are a couple of copies over there. If we run out, I can make more or send more email, whatever. This is a PDF, so it's probably easy enough to send to most people, I think. It covers both running for township and city office. Township is the township board is partisan offices. So you could run as a Republican or a Democrat, or any of the 5 other parties that are on the ballot in Michigan. If you need help getting into one of those, I can help with that.
Can you do a write-in then?
What?
Can you do a write-in?
You can do a write-in as well. If there are not enough spaces, not enough candidates on the ballot, that might be a very successful way to go. But you gotta watch out for that, someone. For only the Republicans and the Democrats are in the primaries in August. So if you want to get on the primary ballot, you'd have to file by 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Tuesday, April 23rd, either signatures on petitions or a non-refundable $100 fee, and a particular form called an affidavit of identity. I have a link here to where you can get that on the Secretary of State's website, your election branch at Secretary of State. And there's also another link for filing forms, guides, and so on. Whoever wins those nominations in the Tuesday, August 6th primary then goes on the ballot in November on the 5th. If you want to be a candidate of a non-primary party, then you have to get nominated at either a caucus for Calhoun County specifically, or Eaton County, or at that party's state convention. So you don't need signatures or a filing fee there, but you have to make sure that the party knows you want to run, so they can schedule a caucus or a convention, and it has to tell the state at least 10 days in advance. Well, you can also qualify as an independent, which technically we call no partisan affiliation, NPA candidate. Then you have to file 3 times as many petition signatures as a Democrat or Republican would have to file. Fortunately, for an office serving a township with a population of less than 10,000 people, it's only 9 at a minimum and up to 30, as opposed to 3 and 10. So, and those have to be absolutely within the township.
Registered voter.
Right, registered voter. And you have until 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, July 18th to file those for the November election, since you would be on the ballot in the primary in August. There's no filing fee option for NPA candidates. And as I've commented in the group here, there are some disadvantages. There's no straight ticket option to mark for independent candidates, and probably not as many who will vote straight party ticket for the other 5 parties, which are in alphabetical order: Green, Libertarian, Natural Law, U.S. Taxpayers Party, which is the Michigan branch of the Constitution Party, and the Working Class Party. Again, if you want to contact any of those, just to find out what they're about, I can have information on those. And if you wanna file as a write-in candidate, if there's a form required for that too, or they won't have votes for it. That gets filed by 4 p.m. Eastern on Friday, October 25th, the Friday before election day. If you want to be a write-in for one of the primaries, you have to file by Friday, the 26th of July.
Okay, I've got my brain thinking about our city council and our mayor. Do
Right.
you have to file as a political party to be? Because my
No.
understanding is we have 3 seats on our city council that are gonna be up for grabs in November. We have 3. We have.
Getting ahead of
No,
He's getting through that.
No, sorry, I was getting a sitting next.
Okay.
Right?
More for
You, all right, you don't have to be, you can't run, officially at least, for any party, from any party. You can say which party you support, and that's fine.
I
But-
just have a one-track mind
No.
where we are.
That's fine. And there are actually 4 seats,
Yeah,
Including mayor.
including the mayor.
including the mayor, right.
Yeah.
There's Ward.
Ward 2 and 4,
Ward
the
4.
at-large seats, and the mayor's
Right, and
office.
we have a map if you don't know what ward you're
Yeah,
in.
yeah. Right, right, one thing about they're all for 4-year terms except the mayor, which is only 2 years.
Correct.
So the mayor is elected every major election.
I've been doing my homework on this.
Good, yes, okay, now, all right, the city charter has a lot to say about how you file to get in on the ballot for that. All right,
And I have that too.
yes, all right, you need at least 50 and not more than 100 signatures. All right,
I know.
all right, for mayor and council member at large, you can get any registered voter in the city anywhere. For a ward seat, you have to get your 50 to 100 signatures from that ward, from people who live and are registered in that ward. Right. You have to file at least 10 days before the August primary, and you can't file more than 30 days before that. So you have to file between June 27th and July 27th. And July 27th is a Saturday, so it might be better to plan for the Friday the 26th. Or even a little sooner, because when the clerk gets 5 days to review your petitions and say if you have enough valid signatures, if they say you don't, you can get up to 5 days to file more if the deadline hasn't passed already. So if you file a week or so in advance, then you have that chance to get to file more. But again, you can't file more than 100 total. Okay, there's no filing fee for that one. No. There's one other requirement that the charter does put in. That's a singed acceptance of the nomination. It's supposed to be signed. But it's kind of like the affidavit of identity is kind of to identify who you are and make sure that you don't have any outstanding violations of the campaign finance laws and so on. But this I think is just to make sure that you are saying, yes, I know that there are people who have been signing up for me. It's okay with me. It's not somebody trying to volunteer me that I'm against my will. Any candidate would have to set up a campaign finance committee, a candidate. Even if you're planning to use all your own money and stay under the $1,000, sorry, not $100,000. This may be worth that for some people, not for us. But if you don't spend or raise more than $1,000, there are limits to how much campaign finance reporting you have to do. Of course, it's not all that rare that people do spend more than that. And if you find you've gone over, you can then change. If it's clear at first that you don't plan to spend $1,000, and so you're exempt from reporting. And then if you go over and say, "Oops, oh sorry, I'm over now, so I'll report from now on." So you should still keep track of your finances.
Quarterly, Jeff? Is that quarterly or twice?
It's
Before and after the election, anyway.
Yeah, there's before and after elections, and right close to the election, there are special 48-hour reports you have to do sometime if you have enough. Yes?
I do like to say for anybody who's thinking about that they might want to run for city council or any of these, don't let the fact that you got a not even a lot of paperwork, just fill out the paperwork, they give you a number, and there you go.
Yeah, it's not that hard.
Yeah, what we need some people in those offices, people that are willing to listen.
Yeah.
People that that have the balls to stand up. You know?
Note that if we run, if 4 new council members get in, then that is a majority of 7, of the 7 members of the council. So they can start acting together on things they all agree on. Yes.
Is it known yet of anybody who's interested in doing this?
Yes, but we're not gonna say the name. We have a possible candidate. What we have over there is we have a sign-up sheet for people who are willing to work on a campaign, people that are willing to help somebody, that's willing to actually stand up for us.
Maybe
It's
walk
not,
through the door.
it's not rocket science to be on the city council. I've been to enough city meetings to know it's not rocket science. You just need people with a heart.
You should have a brain.
Is running for city council different than school board? Cause I know when you just ran, you could actually pay $100 and you didn't need to go gather signatures. Is that not?
That's not an option for city council,
Okay,
unfortunately.
all right. But you have to actually go get the signatures at town
Yeah.
council.
At least 50.
Not a huge deal though.
No, you wouldn't have to do it all by yourself.
Enough people sign up.
You could probably get them today if you.
We would need this, yes, we would need this particular petition forms, but yes. Yeah.
Well, we need 4, then give us the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The thing is, if you want to be on the city council for Ward 4, you have to live in Ward 4.
Yes.
If you want to be on the city council for Ward 2, you have to live in Ward 2. If you want to be in the city council for at large, you can live anywhere in the city, and the same with the mayor.
Right. Yeah, actually, there was an attempt a while back to suggest that only people in a ward should vote for
That's not
the
here.
ward representative.
No, that's not a rule.
No. That was proposed,
Yeah.
as a proposed charter amendment a while back as well. Yeah.
Ward 4 is pretty small. Right? Am I right on that? Is that the one that's pretty industrial?
Southwest.
Yeah.
Is that right, Jim?
We do have maps.
Yeah. Yes.
Just one more thought.
Sure.
There's 3 or 4 members on our city council that ran unopposed, including the mayor. So that says a lot about our community. These meetings need to continue. We need to rally the troops because blind trust is dangerous. Look what happened. They slipped this stuff behind our backs before we had the time to react.
Now, to be fair, it can be a lot of work to do a good job on city council. And princely salaries, the mayor gets $500 a year and council members $300, I think.
It's volunteers.
No, they're-
I know, it's great.
Yeah.
Seriously, it's volunteers.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Did all 4 of the people up for election vote in favor? Or was it unanimous?
Yeah, it was unanimous. Oh. Jason City.
Yes.
Ask who the 4 are who will be up for election.
Yeah, Jim, can you read the 4 that are gonna be up for election? It's up at the top of that page.
Ward 2, Joe Karen.
Karen.
4, Teresa. Puckett, yeah. City Council at Large, Ryan Craver. And Mayor, Jim Schwartz. Everybody wants a copy, just raise your hand, I'll get one to you.
You don't know that they're actually running, do you?
No, they may have.
May not even run.
They may have had enough. Might run unopposed.
You might be doggone happy then.
Yes?
What about the 3 don't they have another couple of years in their term, the three?
Yes.
What, any thoughts about recall?
Well, it is a theoretical possibility. Since they're on 4-year terms, assuming there aren't any of them who are replacements for people who resigned or left or whatever, you could only recall them for official actions they took at least a year after they started taking office, so in this calendar year or next calendar year.
The year before
Yeah.
the year before their term is ended, right?
Yeah, the idea, I guess, being that you have to actually have some chance of getting used to serving, and before you can be recalled, and people have to have some chance to consider overall how good a job you're doing before they get a
But
chance
the
to vote on you
three
again.
The three that are, they've been on 2 years, haven't they, already?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
So then, for this calendar, they've been for 1 year and a little bit.
okay,
Because
okay.
they got elected in November of 2022,
Got ya. Okay.
and so they only started taking office
Okay.
2023. I don't have one. There's certainly not a map there. Somebody here might be able to recite
might be able to
the
address
names
that.
of the township.
What was the question?
Who's on the township?
Yeah, so.
Go ahead, yeah. No, go ahead.
So, just before I say anything, how many people in here are from Marshall Township?
Whoa.
Okay.
Holy mad dog.
So, so I'm glad you're here for sure. So all of township board positions are available this November, right? So, right or wrong, the 5 board members come up for re-election at the same time. So, November of this year. So I know Bob Ling is watching on Facebook Live. So Bob will probably be one of the ones running. Bob he got about $7,000 from Detroit and Lansing so far. So we expect there's going to be a lot of money coming in from outside the area for the current incumbents that decide to run. But we've been putting a coalition together to oppose the current board. We've had 2 meetings to basically try to select candidates that have volunteered, to understand the process, and to start to build a platform. We're looking for more members. We have a sheet both to possibly run for positions if you're interested. We do have 2 trustees I'll talk about in a second, and potentially a treasurer. Definitely looking for a clerk. I can talk to you later on about these positions if you're interested, but also one of the things we're going to be faced with is, if Bob has a bunch of money coming in from outside the area, we're going to have more of a grassroots effort. So we're going to have to do some door-to-door. We're going to have to kind of do it the old-fashioned way, if you will. So we will need people to help us with that. And you're more than welcome to join our little group. There's several people in the audience that are part of that already. I did want to, I think Mick's gone, but I did want to introduce Wayne Wright. Wayne is one of the candidates for trustee. So Bob, if you're watching, and Mick Woods is the other candidate. We had actually several people show interest. Rick Sadler, I think, definitely wanted to offer up. Pardon me? How about Len? Well, there's an opportunity to maybe run for treasurer, but we'll see if there's some better candidates. But yeah, so, and I'm trying to think of some other people, but we've had, good input. Dave Bozer, who I know you know, we're hoping that, we think he's running again. We're hoping that this will be a coalition. Just briefly, the platform, transparency with residents, local versus outside interest, township and its residents having a voice, no signing of NDAs. So again, Bob,
Yeah.
sorry, we just don't understand. Improved communication, we've got some specific ideas that the group has been brainstorming. Protect farms and residential areas, no more mega messes. Revisit the master 425 development agreement with the city. So we think it was violated by not allowing the JPC for their vote against the rezoning to stand. And a tentative motto is empower locality, amplify transparency, your voice, your future, no secrets, just solutions. So, if you're interested in helping, we do have a simple sign-up sheet.
Hey, Glenn, is that a little more urgent for you to get candidates? You have to get it by April sometime for the primary?
Yes, for the primary, if the candidates decide to run for, like John said, either any of the parties, it has to be in by April. So yeah, we definitely want to get. We haven't determined all of those details yet, and I don't necessarily want to disclose them to Bob. So, but yeah, definitely that's why we started back in December, right? So we've learned that you have to kind of stay ahead of township boards, you have to stay ahead of the city council. You know, we were behind when we started back in, December or whenever it was, and now I think we've learned our lesson. We want to be ahead, so, yeah, thank you. Answer a couple questions.
Yeah, I'm Dr. Klein, I'm from Coldwater. We're having similar problems with our city council, absolutely gaslighting, making decisions not in public discussion, and they're trying to put a mega lithium battery storage facility in, and those have been prone to fires. There have been fires in Chicago, San Diego, Phoenix, Arizona, and upstate New York.
Right in Detroit area, fire in their parking lot.
Right, yeah.
The firemen had to come, put it out, they left,
And
reignite it.
It does, yeah, they're very exothermic and they release, toxic fumes and, at any rate, yeah, I'm totally getting gaslighted by the city council.
Well, that's where we were back in December of 2022. Any questions that I can answer quickly?
Not to backtrack, but if the appeal is successful, and if a referendum vote were to be successful, what would be the possibility of any retroactive ramifications for what is going on with regards to the 95?
Well, obviously, Ford's quite a ways along already bringing up
I
steel.
understand that.
Yeah. We're hoping that we'll get the city's attention, especially if that gets revoked, because if it gets revoked, they have to stop construction. And that's a very good negotiating point. And we would like to have them sit down with everybody, our committee, whatever. And I personally don't want to see another 1,000, 2,000 acres of heavy industrial.
Right.
They can bring in chemical plants, they can bring in smelters, they can bring in metal, chrome plating. If you look at the zoning ordinance, and definitely don't want more than that. If Ford gets built and we can't prevent it, well, so be it. But we will have a lot more bargaining power if we have this referendum pass and say, hey, rather than that, let's put a park in that everybody can enjoy.
That's right.
Or something similar. Go ahead, Jim.
If the court rules in our favor and forces the city to accept the petition, that by itself suspends the zoning ordinance right there. So, and it wouldn't go back in force until after the vote, and and it would depend on the referendum failing, a yes vote, no thing. On the referendum, it's always whether or not you support the ordinance being referred. So if you don't want the ordinance, you vote no. The question has to be worded that way.
Also, if we win at the appeals court, there's very good possibility they'll appeal to the Michigan Supreme Court. So that's, it is suspended
Yeah.
until they file, or
Until
they file with the Supreme Court or not?
If the appeals court does, it's only suspended until, if the appeals court rules for us and the ordinance is suspended, then it's suspended until either we vote and the ordinance is approved by the people, or the Supreme Court overrules the Court of Appeals and reestablishes the ordinance.
So it would be suspended in the meantime?
Yes.
Supreme Court cases can take a long time.
Although election cases are usually given some priority because they are going to go to elections.
But one thing to keep in mind too is it isn't the committee's problem that the city overrode and the township overrode our rights. So don't worry so much about what's gonna happen out there. That's something that they may have to deal with. So in theory, if they violated a zoning law, then they have to put it back, you know, and whether that's realistic or not is not our problem. It's their problem.
And also, we slow down the Fort project, there's a lot of penalties that they have, they don't meet certain targets in their construction schedule, so, you know, that's gonna cost them money too. Great.
You did mention that there was an alternative, request for relief by duty, if the ordinance is found to be fatally defective because of that attachment of the appropriation, impermissible attachment of appropriation, then the ordinance will be found to be null and void ab initio, so things go back to square one if they rule in that way. But the court has to rule on that before they can actually go to deciding on the referendum issue, because you can't refer a defective ordinance.
Yeah, according to Robbie though, we have to only win on one of the points that we have brought to court. I think there's 6, 7 points that we brought up that we think is either ruled wrong or is against our rights. I think we win on only one of those, it suspends the ordinance, I believe. I'm not positive, I think that's true. So people, if you aren't registered to vote, get registered to vote, because you can't do hardly anything. You can't vote, you can't get petitions. I don't know if you really can run. You have to be registered to run. I don't know. Anyway, but please get registered to vote. We've got, you know, if you have anything to help circulate petitions to run for office, I'm seriously considering running for the second ward in the city. So that's if you're Aikland, you want to talk about it with me? What Glenn brought up on the platform to be very similar issues that we have, no NDAs, be transparent, you know, listen to the people. Jen and I have kicked around a little bit on, you know, what we would want to have as a platform, so it's got to start, but we need people to help, we need people to run, we need people to help collect petitions, funds. You know, if you want to donate, like I say, go to our Facebook page. It's on our cards there. Pick up a card, and you need any more information. We'll post our bullet points on our Facebook page and a video from Robbie on there, so you can reference that or send your friends to reference that Facebook page. I'm sure it'll get on some of the other Facebook pages out there too. It seems to get around all of them. So, thank you for coming.
Wait.
Oh, yes.
I would like to, all of us, recognize those people who are dedicated every Saturday and every Wednesday.
you know, they keep us out there in the public, and people notice even if they're for or against it, they get reactions both ways.
That's right.
And,
Say something about
go
that?
ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, as we can see, we had a few people here today. We're doing something at the fountain. And it's important, and I hope you people can appreciate the seriousness of what's going on.
Exactly.
We have to keep fighting, we can't stop, we're gonna be down at the fountain, show up to the fountain, get out there, wave. You'll see what the reactions are from the people. Most of the people in this town do not want this mega site.
Right.
So, we gotta stick with it, and, you know, if you want, I can go into detail about how the city council gaslighted you and everything else.
Please don't.
Barry afterwards, but remember, you know, people say it's a done deal, it's not totally done deal. I mean, if you want to stop it at this, if you want to get your charter changed to where it should be and get people in the office that you really want there, keep going, keep helping us, we appreciate it.
Talk about your auction.
Oh, yes. Yeah, fundraising, we have an online auction going on right now. It's,
The little QR codes up there on the
yeah, QR code,
table.
well.
I think so. I think it's on the card.
There's a link on our Facebook page.
I have it actually.
And,
I'll put it up there.
It's,
Here it is. You can take a picture
oh
of it.
yeah, okay, yeah, she's got
I'll
the
lay it up
poster.
there.
Yeah, please, there's a lot of good items there, a lot of nice strips. The organization we're using is Better World. They donate it, they let you post like vacations and experiences. If you go above the minimum bid, we get the extras in that. So look on there, there's a lot of local services and goods that we have local businesses donating. And please go there. If you can't find it, go to our Facebook page, there's links to it from there. Oh. If you have nothing else to do or want to stick around later, the band over here is playing at 7 tonight and the door's open at 6. They've been very gracious to helping us use cords and connectors if we needed, so we wouldn't be here as prepared without them. I think it's $5 a person to come. They say they play 90s to the day music, so if you have anything coming in, we said we'd promote them, so that's their pitch.
I think it's 3 for 10 too.
3 for 10? Okay. The odd man out there. Well, again, thanks for coming. Oh, wait.
I just wanna thank the committee and their spouses and their families and everybody else, cause I know that it's stressful. I know that you've been doing a lot of
Thank you.
things, you've been under attack, personal attack at times, which is to me wrong. But, you're taking the lead, and I really have so much respect for each and every one of you. You're my new heroes now, so.
Words and attack on both sides, we're trying to get away from that.
Yeah.
And listen to Glenn's radio interview on Richard Pike.
Yeah,
was
he had a
just this
good
morning.
podcast. That was
And
good.
that's good. He's done a couple of good ones. Robbie was on one. If you go to their website, you can listen to any one of those, and they're very good.
That was
Yes,
very
ma'am.
good.
I just wanted to encourage everybody, to just encourage your kids, your grandkids to start getting involved in the community. You know, a lot of younger people are busy with work, they're busy with kids and raising families, but a lot of these things that are happening at the city council meetings or your township meetings, it impacts your home, it impacts where your kids are growing up. So, I know oftentimes on the city council or on township boards, there's a general age range that tends to be present. So just want to encourage everyone to remind their family members to be involved. If you're not involved, you don't know what's going on and you don't have a say.
That's
If
right.
you want to upset the city council, take your kids to the meeting. But seriously, if you can't go around getting signatures, you know, that's good. If they're interested, take them with you. That's the best way for them to learn about what's
And
really going
remember-
on in the world.
Remember, if you don't turn on to politics, politics will turn on you.
Help yourself to refreshments.
Lots and lots
Make
of
sure
goodies.
you've signed our petition for running or for circulating petitions. Thank you all for coming.
How's it going?
Oh, John, thank you. Glenn, thank you.